And yeah, thank you so much to those of you that have joined me for my virtual book launch today. So excited to be here with you. I haven't been feeling too great in the last couple of days, but it seems like I'm getting over something really good. But today's really a good day to be well, even though we're getting back. So I thank those of you that are going to be joining me shortly here, and everyone else that's going to follow us on all our beautiful social media channels. It's really a pleasure to have you all here and sort of dive into a little bit, I guess, a sneak peek into some of the chapters, the reason behind why I wrote Purpose-Driven Entrepreneurship, and a sneak peek inside the chapters, what you will get. So we'll use this event not only, to support me with this amazing baby and new project that I brought onto the world, but also to have you on the other end walk away with some really great strategies or connection of the dots, so to say, as I speak, high level strategy that you would need, that I'm hoping that you will take away, so that you can get that desire to go grab the book for the rest of the information. Because I always say that the depth of the information that we share, there's always something you could do to go in deeper. So it's definitely that kind of thing with the book. So hi, Emma, so nice to see you. I'm so glad to see some of my old friends. It's always a great thing when we get together. I had my live launch a couple of weeks ago, and that was an amazing success. And besides the people that always support you in your journey, and I always share that we never are, wherever we end up, with whatever we achieve or whatever we want to put out there in the world, we're never alone. There's always people along our journey that made the impact that they do, so that we can become the person who will become, and that absolutely impacts our work. So it was the same there, and it's the same now. So some of you know me a little bit, my background, a little bit about my work. I will keep it short, so that it kind of gives context to some of the information I want to share with you ladies today. So I am natively Albanian. I came to New York when I was 15. So there you go. There's my accent. This is why I have an accent. So I always say English is my second language. Even though I did kind of lose touch with my Albanian for a couple of years. But after COVID, I got connected to my native community. So that was really an amazing, soul-fulfilling, let's say, thing that COVID did. For most people, COVID kind of introduced us to new things, right? Anyway, so that was my getting in touch with, my native community. So that's where I'm from. I came when I was 15, and I've been living in New York for 25 years. My parents kind of stationed here, and we kind of build a life here. And, I don't know, for those of you that have moved to new countries or even a new home, it's kind of hard to leave it because, you kind of build a life around it. It's kind of been my story there as well. So corporate, I did the traditional cultural, what my parents wanted me to do, especially my dad. It's okay, you got to get a degree, make sure you get your bachelor's, and make sure you are successful in your career, and then you can focus on your family and do all these other things that you needed to do. So in a way, and intentionally, purposely, I guess, I was so young, I kind of followed that because I thought, okay, that's kind of what I have to do, right? I think it's not just my story, but a lot of women that we just follow traditional paths, and we just don't question them, especially when you're younger, because you just don't have the awareness yet, and you just don't really know what you want yet. I'm not going to say it didn't work out. It was great for as much as it served me. I worked for a corporation, Fortune 500 retail industry, 15 years. So I always say that I was in the right place at the right time, because the company was in growth mode, and this always followed me. So I'm glad I was introduced to this early. I don't know if I would be this kind of life student I am today. I call myself a life student. School is the school of life, is always teaching us something, and entrepreneurship, and I'll connect that to the book for sure. I feel like it's that journey that I've discovered a little bit later on, but So I did marketing, sales, I did executive leadership, I did human resources, all of those different roles within the years. And of course, I climbed a corporate ladder. I started with no experience all the way up to wherever, I went. But one thing that I guess, looking back to that journey is the entrepreneurial spirit in me, which I hadn't discovered yet. I just thought that was just like part of, everybody did that. Like you just kind of go in, you work, and you bring in new ideas, because I was always that person that, even though the company had a vision mission, and that was my purpose to bring that forward with whatever structured role I was given or I was assigned, I always wanted to know some, the bigger thing. I always wanted to know, what was I working towards? Did my work matter? Or did I just go through the motions of the day-to-day for no purpose? So I always looked for purpose. Even then, I just didn't, understand how I was doing it. But that was a major reason, that I did it there. And also the other thing was entrepreneuring. I was always beyond, looking, outside the box at things. And I'm like, well, maybe we can do something different, and we could do it this way and that way. So I introduced a lot of great projects and implemented a lot of great projects for the company, which gave me the visibility, the impact, I guess, that I could make within that environment for as many years as it lasted, until just like every journey has its, end. When I discovered the company was purchased by another company, and they lost their, let's say, the purpose-driven culture. It became about profit. Everybody was seen as a number. The energy got shoveled, the culture got diluted. So I think it was just okay, I didn't know I was at the crossroads. So this is where personal development, I guess, showed up heavier, because I've always been coaching and, training. That was always part of my roles. But, it's kind of did I want to go back and do another 5? That was the dilemma then. It's do I want to continue this, or do I just want to just start my own thing or do my own business? Because I do have a lot of experience. I might as well try it. And of course, I ran it by my practical husband, and he's been an entrepreneur for 10 years in the construction industry. So this journey it's something that he was very familiar with. And I would say that was, for those of you that have people that support you at the beginning, I think it's very, very important for sure. But I also understand that that's not always the norm. And that's what he did, is you should start growing your own business out of your consulting experience. So he just kind of what do you have to lose? Just try it out. I'll cover, some things, even though I pretty much grew my business on the side for a couple of years before I pivoted, because I was the safe, secure, how we are as women. We're just kind of I'm thinking about the kids, the house, the bills, everything. We think of everything, which is why I think we're really amazing entrepreneurs, because if we run our companies like we run our families, we've always ran our families. At the end of the day, we made all the decisions anyway. So it's kind of what happened as I made the venture there. And started my journey as entrepreneur. For now, it's going to be 6 years. Oh my gosh, I can't believe time flies. Of course, at the beginning, solopreneurship is challenging. You don't know who you are yet. You don't know what you offer yet. You don't know, you don't know who you don't know, is what I say. It's a new thing, right? Even though you have so much experience, but it's still a new journey. I never ran my business before. I was still under a structure for so many years. So a lot of learning, a lot of growth. I started doing executive coaching because that was so comfortable for me. And then I did some career coaching because I said I need to move away from traditional corporate environment. And I did that. And then I've been positioned as a business strategist, just really connecting the dots for myself internally. A lot of inner work has been done for sure as well. And that's something else that I would start. I started actually my first chapter in the book, which is called Legacy, because I do believe that everything begins with the way that we think about things. And I know we hear about mindset, it's overdone, over messaged, over, saturated in the market, mindset is everything, but it is, which is why I've kind of sprinkled that around the the chapters everywhere, because from my experience, that was what I struggled with. I came from an employee mindset into an entrepreneurial world, and it was not, it's very different. It's 360 degrees. Because as an entrepreneur, as a corporate employee, let's just say, I worked and I got paid, right? So my effort, I was rewarded for. And as an entrepreneur, I realized I worked for at least, like, I don't know, a year or 2 years, and I get minimal payment. So, because you have to build these things. I wish someone told me that in many ways, trials and errors, and this is our great experience. You have to build a business from experience, is what I say, not from scratch. Because I feel like everyone in our lives impacts us in a way or in another. I don't believe in self-made much. I think we're, made from our circumstances and all the people around us. But I would say the same thing for, the business side of things as well, that we are always, we are always putting things together, and we're always building, and there's phases and stages of business, just like life. And I do refer to that in the book. Because business growth is like human growth. When you start a business, you are a baby. You just literally just gave birth to a baby. It needs to be nurtured. It needs a lot of attention, care. You need to build your networks. You have to build relationships. You have to build audiences. You have to be clear in what you're doing. You have to fight a lot of your mindset a lot of times, of believing in the work that you do. Sometimes you'll have the let's say what I call them, the dream stealers of, like, the imposters, all of that. Like, who are you to do what you do? There's so many other people doing what you're doing. Why are you, here? What is it that you have to offer that's different? All of these different things that come with the experience. But just, recapping back from the mindset that I wrote about in the book, I even quoted it, some quotes just come to me organically from life experience. And I say, life is a big puzzle. Every day we're collecting the pieces and putting the bigger picture together. And I do feel like, from employee again to entrepreneur, unless you have a vision and mission as an entrepreneur, and you learn how to think on purpose, and you learn how to think long term, even though day to day you could lose your purpose. We're all human. We have good days, bad days. I'm not saying that every day is going to be like, oh my gosh, I know my mission, I know my vision, I know what I'm working towards. But I do feel like, if you understand that the impact that your work makes, the way that it makes that impact, and why you're the only one on this earth that can do it the way you can do it. So the more you kind of instill and ingrain yourself with that is going to hold you in the days where you're just kind of shot-eyed. Like, even this book, like 5 times I thought of quitting, because I'm like, oh my gosh, it's taking so long, and the words are not coming together, and all of that. Anything that's worth doing, that's going to be a really important, part of the stepping stone in your path to get you to where you want to go, it's going to take a lot of sacrifice, and it's going to take a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. And I sometimes go against the marketing language, the easy marketing language of build a business from a beach. You can, make $1 million in 5 months. I honestly don't feel like this serves entrepreneurs, because we have to understand that, why are we thinking this is easy? This is honestly the hardest thing I've ever done, building a business so far. Because again, it's like been such a personal journey, that I always say your business comes with you. You are the visionary leader, you are the CEO, you hold the dream, you hold the vision, you hold the idea, you hold the, the passion. And then of course, everything else comes, around you. It's like an alignment around you. And this is the biggest journey that I found, that is going to start, questioning all of those things together. And the more you personally grow and you raise your awareness, the more your business is intuitively aligned with your inner gifts, your inner calling, with those moments of quietness where you give yourself white space to think, to strategically think, however you would like to, to call it, so that you know what the next step should be, and really, drill down on the information that we get from the outside. Even though there's a lot of information, I always find like all the answers, and every great decision that I made that I thought, was something that was not going to give me, let's say, an ROI on it, because here's the other part of entrepreneurship. You're always testing. You're like a mad scientist, putting your hat on, and you're testing things all the time, right? And even though, yes, of course, there's people with, maps, and people that have frameworks, and people have been there, done that, and that could shorten so much of your time and energy. And of course, that's very valuable, which is why we exist. But you still got to go through your own personal journey of piecing things together and connecting the dots for yourself, and just staying very open to that. So I would say for chapter 3, I dive into, I give examples, stories. I love to story tell too. So if it's not my experience, people that I've helped along the journey as well, how to hold that, how to clarify that vision and mission for you, and how to start with step 1, where you believe in your work. I always say this: homework number 1, believe in the work that you do, and then the rest of the things are going to start to fall into place, because that's everything. Self-belief is number 1, as we have probably heard it before. The other chapter, second chapter, even though the first 2 chapters, I talk a little bit about my life experience to just get the reader introduced to some of the things that I feel made that impact in my life to do the work that I'm doing today, because I always find like nothing is, by chance, right? Everything is kind of like building stones or stepping stones to the thing that we do tomorrow, or whatever I'm doing now is going to be that thing that's going to help me build or continue to grow and make the impact that I'm looking to make with my business as well. So the other chapter is about branding. And the framework that I put together in the book is really my framework that I've used over and over and over and over and over and over with entrepreneurs and corporations that I've helped over the years, which is hundreds and hundreds. So instead of repeating myself so many times, and analyzing the foundational pieces that I found between both worlds are the common threads, is to how big brands have grown and how solopreneurs go to 6, 7, 8 figures with a team. It's kind of what I put together in the book. So the other one is branding, right? Just like anything, you have to grow your name out there. You have to grow the business, you have to grow yourself, and you have to put yourself out there. And that means you have to stand for something, right? You have to brand yourself. If you don't learn how to brand yourself and make noise with what you're doing, then you're just a little fly or a little goldfish in the big ocean of entrepreneurship. And that's how you stand out, right? So branding is really finding that little niche in the market at the beginning, and really serving your audience that you have chosen in a unique and a different way by adding more value that you feel other people are adding in the marketplace. And sometimes this becomes very challenging for entrepreneurs, just like me. Many times I'm like, I don't know what I do different. I think, it's whatever I do has been done out there already. But trust me, there's always a secret sauce. So, I don't love to cook, but entrepreneurs like cooking. It's like recipes. For those of you, I don't know, who likes to cook, but it's like you're putting your own like spin and recipe to things, and you're making something your own. And sometimes it's a 2-millimeter word. I've changed 1 word in my business as it's making me go to the next level. So sometimes we think it's like, oh, I have to bring something so crazy into the market. It's not. You just have to be very observant through all your daily actions, study the market as much as you can, and find a little pocket or gap, even though it's like it can be very small, and just run with that. And the more you grow, the more you start to figure out bigger gaps, because you need to grow and innovate. It's like human life. It's just like I said, right? But at the beginning of your journey, it's always good to find that small gap in the market and to really understand how to fill that. The other thing is messaging. In entrepreneurship, I told myself I should have paid more attention to my English classes, to my writing classes. to my communication classes, because entrepreneurship is all about communication, right? Your messaging. I mean, people don't, it's like my mother-in-law tells me like a saying, and for a while I didn't really put it together. I'm like, why is she telling me this? But it's like, people can't see your heart, but they could see the way that you speak, right? And that's kind of how we are perceived. And the biggest thing in entrepreneurship is trust. Trust. We're in the business of people. So people don't trust us. So think back of the relationships you build over time. How are you trusting others? Obviously, by the consistency of their, their words, with their actions, obviously, putting the two together. But messaging is crucial. Understanding the messaging of your audience, it's a make or break. Otherwise, you could just be creating amazing stuff, but it's not resonating with your people. And of course, you're not going to get the result that you're looking for. And messaging, there's so much in here, but it comes from everywhere. It comes from the mouth of your audience. It comes from the mouth of your clients. You can find it everywhere if you are really, intuitive about it. But of course, there's frameworks around this stuff too, right? It's not just like, okay, maybe I'll just like pay more attention. You have to be very clear what is the result you provide, problem you solve, how you solve it, and who you solve it for. And what kind of value is it that your client provides, can receive from what you have to offer. So you have to be very clear about that. Now, as part of branding, there's a lot of strategies, right? You can start podcasts, you can write a book, you can go and strategically align yourself with other similar communities, right? There's a lot of other things that you could do to brand yourself. None of this is going to be overnight. This is relationship building. Branding, I always say, if you are not brand building or client attracting, those are the two main activities in your business that if you stop doing those, it's like, imagine like a local store, you've closed the doors to the business daily. So, those are always things that are always happening in the business. Now it's my favorite one, marketing. And everyone's like, oh my gosh, I got to market. Can I just like do what I do and just like hide in a corner? This is one thing that I learned in business. So even when I was in a corporation, I'm like, dang, this is the most important part, because you could be amazing at what you do, but it's, if people don't know about you, you're like, you can't make the impact. Like, wah, wah, wah. It's like, so I think we must learn how to market. So I love teaching this because honestly, as much as we hate the market, or we have maybe negative, connotations about it, marketing is education. And I could have been a good teacher. I never was a teacher before, but I did, I guess, teaching training in my own journey, in my own way. And in a way today, that's kind of what I do. But if you love to teach and to share what you know with other people, marketing is about educating and inspiring other people, right? So with whatever you're doing, teach on the topics you feel you're passionate about, right? And that's marketing, because you are serving your audience, you're building trust. And those are the main two, commodities to human relationships. And remember, we're in the business of human relationships. That's my other big aha moment. It's like job description. Okay, you're in the business of human relationships. So psychology, personal development, where are you? I need to dive into, understand how this works better. Because you got to get into psychology of your audience and the people that you are serving, right? Just knowing them, so well that it's almost like natural for you to speak, because you understand them very, very clearly. And every time, we think we understand, there's always so many more layers that you can understand. Most of the pitfalls marketers, make, it's like, oh, I already know my client. Like, I've already been serving them. I say the client avatar exercise and branding is always ongoing in business. I love when sometimes I take on clients and they're like different phase of business. And I'm like, let's go back to who are you really serving? Because they thought they were serving someone completely different. But when we go through some of the exercise, because they have evolved and their business has evolved, they realize, oh, shoot, there's like a whole, that's why my message is not resonating. That's like a whole, other market that they unintentionally are now serving, but they're not aware because they're just probably did that exercise like, math. It's like, I don't want to do math again. I already know. Evolvement of this stuff, like all of these metrics and foundations are always evolving. You can never know, and you can never stop your marketing. You can never stop your branding. You can never stop any of these things that are going to be inside the book. Because if you do, it's just like your business stops growing. And what's the point of entrepreneurship if you're not evolving and growing? You are not going to, it's just part of the journey. You either it's just human life. I'm telling you, it's like personal development. If you don't grow, you go back towards the other way and you just kind of die. There's other things happening around you, business competition, things happening. No one's going to wait around. It's for you, right? So you have to stay up there. You have to show up. You have to stay visible. You have to stay current, relatable. And you constantly must be, putting all these emotions at all times. And I promise you, once you learn them, they become natural, but at the beginning, it's like, oh my gosh, how do I put it all together? So the other one, so that's kind of what I would say about marketing. And yes, I can dive into in the book, I dive into different, ways that we actually can do that. But the other one is sales. And this is the lifeblood of the business. Marketing, up to marketing, it's your nurturing, right? You're educating, you're serving, you're nurturing. That's why I love marketing so much. I'm like, I can market all day. If someone could do sales, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I think connecting it together and understanding that sales is just serving people at the highest level. That's another way of, you understanding that selling is really setting up situations and being very strategic with your client journeys or trust journeys or, people journeys or relationship journeys, however you want to call it, human relationship journeys that you're building over time, understanding what is the purpose of those journeys and how are you taking them or where are you taking them so that you can eventually serve them at the highest level. It's the sales part, right? And, we talk so often about what we've seen that we don't like. We've been sold to, we've been cold sold to, because people don't know how to, it's like again, back to cooking. If something is, it's like everybody hates the cold, let's say, introducing people to that world because they're cold. They don't know you yet. But I'm like, how are we supposed to get warm if we don't start with cold? I mean, you put the thing in the oven, you got to heat it up so you become, warm. So you believe in your brand, you must have new people introduced to you at all times. Yes, they'll be cold, but that's the whole point. Let's get to know one another, right? So then eventually we can become warm and we could see how we can help one another, right? So that's kind of what really sales is all about, connecting, all the branding and the marketing that you're doing beforehand and really having a predictable journey for your human relationships to evolve into so that people build that know, like, and trust, and they're really warm. They're warm to you. They're warm to your heart. I always say warm to your heart because even in my book, I say lead with your heart. Because I'm a soul, driven entrepreneur, purpose-driven entrepreneur. And most of us, do this because we love what we do, first of all, and we think what we do is important and helps someone else. Doesn't matter what we've chosen. So, just bringing the human back in all these different things, even though in the world of automation, and yes, I have no problem with technology. I think we must embrace it and have it use, serve us if we can. But of course, there's also human functions and touches to all these different things that we can add. And, those are always the best things because, the impact we can make with someone on the human level. I mean, a robot cannot do that. So I don't think that's why they cannot compete with us on that level eventually, whatever can happen with technology and all that happening. So I would say that's kind of what sales is. And The goal that I have for my clients, I always, say is like, let's learn to do sales your own native, organic way. So you never feel like you're ever doing this again. Like you never feel like your selling is never in your mind. It's just part of your muscle, like a muscle you build. Because that's the other thing of why I'm proud of my work. I feel like not only I bring the education part, so my cough kind of like brings up certain things, but not only the education part that I'm so passionate about, but it's the skills you build. I'm like, by doing these, you're gonna have a menu. So doesn't matter you work with me, you don't work with me again, it's like you can have these for life. Because once you learn how to do these, look how much more you invested in yourself, and you can sell anything to anyone and with any, with any company, whether it's your company or you tomorrow you just decide to do a new offer as your business model because you have to pivot, you can do it. So, this is the beauty of learning these things naturally the first way. So then, you just never feel like you are ever selling, marketing, branding, even though what's wrong with them? I think it's, these are all part of the journey, but depends how you think about it. All right, so I would say that's what sales. So there's a lot of sales strategy inside the chapter as well. And don't get panicked by the word strategy. I use strategy like purpose, because everything in the way that I understand things is maybe my logical way. My brain helps me in a lot of different things. It's like everything's got to have a map. I mean, it's just not enough to just know what we want. We also have to, set it into place and be very intentional with the actions we take. So that's why I use the word strategy a lot, but sometimes, it's like strategies are overthrown a lot out there. So people might just be like, think that it has a negative connotation, or like if we have a negative agenda behind something, like, oh, I have a strategy, so I work with the strategy. Yes, I do work on strategy. I don't work hard, I work smart. At least it's what I kind of hope for myself and my clients, because again, we didn't build these businesses to be slaves, right? And sometimes it's kind of what I felt like at the beginning. I'm like, I traded my 9 to 5 to work 9 to 9, because I didn't know how to do a lot of these things, right? So that's not the point. The point is that we want to have the business to serve us so that we can build a life on purpose. We could travel more, we could spend time with family, we can have flexibility, we can work on purpose, all these other things that we want out of the business. Most entrepreneurs is why they start their businesses. But along the journey, there's a lot, to navigate. So not everybody kind of, pieces it all together, or maybe gets the right mentorship and support to kind of have a strategic plan, is what I say, that you can follow, so that you know exactly where to focus on. Because I didn't talk about focus, but that's back to the mindset chapter. Everything in business is focus. The bigger the business, the narrower the focus. That's just how it works, because you just have a lot more to manage. But now you have assets, teams, things, which is a good thing, but your focus has to be very narrow in business. It's very easy to split your energy between a lot of different avenues. And sometimes entrepreneurs that are like parents, we love to like just keep having kids. We're like, well, if this is not working, if my daughter's not behaving and not bringing me income, I'm just going to start another business. I'm going to just do this. I'm going to go for another market. I'm just going to do a new offer. I'm just going to go for a MLM. I'm just going to do this. Because it's so easy to just run away from the thing that's not working, rather than putting in the time and figure out, okay, why is this not working? Because I bet you it's you got to go in and focus on that. So don't do that. Don't just kind of like keep having kids. I almost did a lot of that at the beginning. But I realized that no, that's just your way to escape. There's no escaping. Holding myself, thank God for mentors, holding myself accountable to a lot of these different things. So I just share kind of what I've learned. And then the other one is systems. So systems is my love language because I am a logical left brain mostly before I really tapped into my creative side of, right brain with creativity and all of that, which is now I feel like at least I'm in good flow and harmony and alignment between the logical, the masculine and the feminine energy and all that good stuff for those of you that might be in these fields. But systems, it's like my love language because that's efficiency to me. Like the more systems you create in the business, the more you remove yourself from things and the more time you have back now to think back and work in the business. Because a lot of times as entrepreneurs, we just get like narrow, very narrow focus, blind spots, because we're the only one there. And a lot of times it's a very lonely journey, right? Unless you have surrounding yourself with mentors, people, all of that. So for system, it's like I'm almost like a process geek. It's crazy. Like everything to me, even new things, I try to like figure out what is the process so that I could take that and just teach it to somebody else or create a system around it. So then I give myself freedom. But systems in business, the bigger the business, the more the systems you have. And you have to create systems because then it's when you want to start bringing in maybe some people on your team. In corporate, they used to call them standard operating procedures, anything that had like a certain like path that was repeated. I did a lot of these in HR when you had to do like a onboarding, process. It's like, here's the steps 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Here's the result. So in corporate, it's called standard operating procedure, but in entrepreneurship, unless you're maybe at a higher level, I don't think people really talk about this as much as, they probably could. But all of these are systems, like relationship building. It has its own way that you can systemize a lot of different things, right? Because again, the bigger the business, the more people you're managing, the more things you're dealing with. I mean, unless you have 24 hours a day, again, that's not the point. The point is not that you can, go in and kind of like slave yourself, chain yourself to your desk. The point is that you bring in the right assets and people and systems in place so that you know exactly, where you need to be working on. That is, first of all, something you love, because as entrepreneurs, we all have different gifts and talents. And you don't want to, do something in the business just because you have to. Maybe at the beginning you have to, but eventually you want to start moving yourself out of that spot because that's where you're going to be the most successful anyway. Because it's something that you love to do. So you have to eventually figure out along the journey as you are placing all these things in place, how to remove yourself and focus on the thing that you love. And most important, which is where I go to my dear, passion, which is leadership, which is what I discovered earlier on. Then you want to bring in the right people to complement you. Because you're just, we're just one person. And I always say, how much leverage can you get? Imagine 2 Elonas working for 8 hours. Now I can get double the thing done, right? Because is only one of me. So of course, the more you create income, the more you create all of these, assets that I talked about in the different chapters, the more you now have the income. And now you can start leveraging, systems and team to help you with the growing of the business. And of course, a lot of these goes into the personal businesses, what do I hire first? How do I place the right people? When do I hire my leaders? All of those important things, which are very, very important. But leadership is another one of those skills that, most people that, feel like the pressure of leadership, it's just a necessary, part, and it's a skill that can be learned, just like all of these different things, right? Because again, you want to go, short or like, no, you want to go like a short amount of road and you're alone. If you want to go it faster further, you want to go out with other people. Everything in business is about collaboration and bringing on different people, right? Because you need people support your vision and mission. Otherwise, you just be a solopreneur. Some people choose that, but I always say, are you sure you chose that? Or maybe you just didn't have all the information you needed to make a different decision. because I honestly do think that entrepreneurs want to make an impact, but sometimes it's like, no, I just want to be a high ticket business model and just want to be one-to-one. And I'm happy with that for a while, for a long time. If that's what you choose, that's what you choose. And this journey does give you that. This journey has no ending. There's no limit to what you could do. You could build whatever, keep building. No one's going to stop you, which is why I'm very proud of kind of the fundamentals that I've kind of derived from the processes of my work, because once you know these things, I always say it's like a home. Once you have the foundation in place, then you could build as big as you would like, because you know it's not going to be shaky. You have all the right things in place. So the rest of it, you're just going to keep adding, tweaking business models, tweaking strategies, bringing in different people, evolving the message, evolving other things, narrowing your reach and all of that. Definitely you could do a lot of that. But everything, I always say that my last saying before I kind of part with you, I always say you can do it all, but just not all at the same time. Everything has got to be phases and stages in business. Otherwise, you're just going to drive yourself crazy. You're going to go into the comparison game, which doesn't help anybody, because your business is your own unique journey. And it should really be that way. I have a quote here from Thomas Watson, which I love. And he talks about, to be successful, you have to have your heart in your business and your business in your heart. For us purpose-driven entrepreneurs, this is kind of like music to our ears, because we know exactly internally why we chose the business that we want to build. But sometimes, like I said, we just don't always have the foundational pieces in place to understand, especially if you've never built a business before. Right. I always say sometimes we try to, figure things and patch things out. And I get it, because we're bootstrapping at the beginning. We've all done it. I've learned different things just because I had the time. I didn't have the money. Right. So at the beginning, that's what it is. And then later on, your problems change. You have the money, you don't have the time. So now you got to create systems and team to handle the time issue. But at the beginning, you have the time, you don't have the money. So you're beginning, you bootstrap, you do a lot of things on your own. You try to Google, you try to YouTube, right? A lot of different things. And that's okay. But I do feel that, growing and investing in mentors and people that have the framework, you're kind of like growing, going at it faster, saving yourself time and money, because time will never come back. It shouldn't take you 10 years to grow a business if someone has already figured that out. That's kind of what I say now. Like, it took me 6 years to do a lot of these different things and to have the results I have, and I could teach it to you in a year, right? So you're just saving 5 years. I think to me that's like a good deal, because I think of all the 5 years that you could be making money by investing in someone that you align with. So you just, sometimes in business, it's about your business mind and making the right decisions, strategic business decisions that are going to get you to where you want to go and make the impact that you want to make. One last quote that I will leave you with is, when you stop growing, your business does too. I believe this from the bottom of my heart. It is connected, which is why I founded the Life School, which is all about how to turn our experience and skills into personal and professional success that we are aligned with, because I do believe I have a very holistic approach to business. We can be aligned with other areas as well. We don't have to let our business, if you work on purpose, there's no difference between life and business. You just have to be very mindful and strategic about the way that you do things. You can have great relationships, great health, great mental health, great spiritual health, great money, and great other areas, whatever you're into, if you understand how to do all of these different things on purpose. And that's actually my other book laid out there, because every time I finish a project, I lay down for the next project. My next leadership book is going to talk a little bit about more of the holistic approach and the alignment of energies and all that good stuff that I have found is very, very, helpful in growing a business. You'll all find the book on Amazon. It's going to be on 3 different versions: paperback, cover, hardcover, and also Kindle, for those of you that love the ebook version. And if you purchase it and leave a review, definitely send me an email, and I would love to enter you for a $25 gift card drawing. I would love to hear the impact every time that I was hear from people, what kind of impact the work that I do, whether it's book programs, anything that we have going on at the Life School. It's always very inspiring, because it not only motivates you to keep going and create and do more good in the world, but it's just kind of it's the fuel. It's like an artist. I always compare myself to an artist. It's like the food for your soul. Like, you need food for the soul to keep going, to keep creating, and to keep doing good things. And I also have an upcoming workshop in January, which I'm going to do a whole 7 days, when I'm going to dive into each one of these even in more depth. And that's going to be January 9 to 17. It's going to be free. You just have to have the book, because we can work alongside the book. So we're going to make it like a workshop that we can also do some work around, so that we're just kind of not just hearing the information, but we're also analyzing and we're practicing it. And I always find that's kind of going to hopefully give people more insight into how to start applying all this foundational framework in their own business as well. I will include the link to the book on the bottom of this video as well. And again, I want to thank you, all of you amazing souls, for listening. And I hope what I've shared was helpful. And thank you so much for your support. You're always, supporting me with everything that I do here at the Life School. And I know that you can be anywhere. And the fact that you are, spending your time here with me means a lot. And I hope to return the favor for sure. Thanks again, and have a good rest of your day. Bye for now.
Thanks so much, Elona. Bye, everyone.
Congratulations again.
Thank you so much.